Okay guys, so today I'm going to show you how I muck out a stall and how we do things here. Right now we're in Bugsy's stall because she's the horse that I know no matter what I do in her stall, she's going to continue to sit here and eat. So here, before we start mucking out the stalls, we always make sure that the horses have something to eat. That way they're kind of distracted and they aren't going to be bugging us because we do want to make sure that they're out of our way. If you have a horse that isn't very good about you being in their stall, you want to make sure that you know exactly where they are and what they're doing. Some people even tell you to take the horse out of the stall. With Shyla, the thoroughbred mare who left like back in March-ish, she was one of those horses where she was the only horse at the barn where I could not ignore her when I was mucking out her stall. Like everyone else, I just kind of ignore them. I let them do their thing. I know they're not going to kick me. For the most part, when I tell them to move out of my space because I need to get to whatever they're standing on, they move quite easily. But she did like to strike out if you got too close to her. I think it was her left back leg, if I recall correctly. But so when you are mucking out a stall, you do want to make sure that you know the horse's personality and if they're okay with it or not. I know that I can put a muck rake underneath Bugsy. I know I can take a broom underneath Bugsy, in between her back legs, in between her front legs. I can put anything all around her legs, but I know that also because I can sit underneath her. So you do want to make sure that you know, is this horse okay with me going underneath them to get a pile of poop, or do I have to move them so that I can get to it safely? So you do want to make sure that you are safe, especially if you're a smaller kid and you are learning this, because it is something that's very important to learn. And it is fairly self-explanatory, but I'm going to do a video on it anyhow. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick up what I'm doing, but the first thing that we always do here is we sweep out the horse's stalls. Now Bugsy has a full matted indoor stall with a run out into the back. She never goes to the bathroom in here. She's a very neat girl. As you can tell, her floor isn't even that dirty. She knows that she eats in here and then she goes to the bathroom out there. It's one of those things that she had to learn as a Mustang to survive, because you don't want feces by where you're eating because that attracts predators. So first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take a push broom that looks like this, and I'm just going to start pulling some of the dirt away from the wall. You don't have to get too particular with this. It's just to sweep the dirt away from their food so that they aren't eating a lot of dirt. But so now we're going to show you how to actually muck out the stall completely. Okay, so now we're outside in her stall, and you want to make sure that you have a pitchfork that has all the little teeth in it. So if you are missing one, it could make this a little bit of a difficult process because the poop will just go straight through that hole. So we don't have a wheelbarrow here. Well, we do, but we don't use it for poop. We have these little flex buckets. Now, why we have the flex buckets is because it makes it easier to throw this into a dumpster than getting a wheelbarrow and trying to do that. So that's what we have. So looking at Bugsy's stall, you can see that she mostly goes to the bathroom in this general area. She is very good about going to the bathroom in one spot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pitchfork, or muck rake, whatever you call it, and I'm just going to pick up the poop and gently bounce it. So you make like a little bouncing motion, and this just gets rid of any excess dirt or shavings, whatever you use. Because you don't want to take a lot of shavings when you do this. You want to make sure that you leave as many in the stall as possible, especially if you have box stalls that only use shavings. I'm not a fan of box stalls. I don't really like them. But if that's what you have, then, well, that's what you got. So you do want to make sure that you try and keep as much of the bedding in the stall as possible. It also makes the bucket a lot lighter. Okay, so now I've gotten all the poop out of her stall. It's now fairly clean. We're not quite done yet. But you want to make sure that you get as much of it as possible. I know there are going to be little flakes that you can't really get, especially if you have horses that trample their poop like Cressy does. Um, but you want to try and get as much out as possible. It's good for their feet, and also in the summertime it keeps the flies way down. But so now, if you notice, there's this little dark area over here. I'm not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick that up. But what that is her little pee pile. So she pees into this trench, and it keeps her stall from not getting too saturated, but there is still some puddling going on. Now I'm just going to break up some of the saturated dirt for her. And get rid of it. So little horses, when they get threshed, because they have pee puddles in their stall and people don't clean out the pee puddles, they only, oh, the quails are out. Oh, the little quails are so cute. Oh, they're all lined up on a row on the pole over there. That's adorable. And so what happens is people don't clean out the pee saturated dirt. They just leave the pee saturated dirt in their stalls, and it gets in their hooves and it rots out their feet. So that's why you want to clean that out too. You want to get as much of it out as possible. The last thing that we do here is if the horses have any big puddles or big areas that are saturated, we take these pellet-like things, okay, and they're just wood pellets that have minimal dust to them. We don't put these in the stall, except for Waco, because Waco makes giant puddles in his stall. But for the most part, everyone else doesn't get this in their stall because we don't want them breathing it in when they're inside. Out here it's ventilated. It should disperse quite easily, but in the stall it gets a little bit contained. So we don't like putting these in the stall because the dust can be harmful to their respiratory systems. And when we first put this in Bugsy's stall, she thought it was food. So you want to make sure that your horse knows this is not food, this is pellets that go in their stall, because you don't want your horse eating this. And once she figured out that this was going into her pile or her puddles of pee, she realized quite quickly that these are pellets, these are not food. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle this in her little pee area. And you don't need a lot. What's going to happen is it's going to start soaking up some of that pee, and it's going to get like into this big pile of the shavings. And then later, once it's all broken out of its casing, you can come over here and take another little muck rake and just smooth it out. What's good about these pellets, and I will put in the description of what kind of pellets they are, is if you put these in a stall completely, like you fill up a stall with these, when the poop rolls in it, it gives it this coating so it doesn't break these little flexy bucket things. Because if you just use regular dirt, it doesn't coat the poop, and it just breaks them because it eats away at the plastic. It can also do this to wheelbarrows too. So these are really good if you have a problem with your poop. There's a plane. If you have a problem with your horse's stalls and the poop breaking buckets and things. So that is how we clean out stalls here, guys. Anyhow, guys, so if you have any questions, put those in the comment section. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And we're going to end it there.